As war intensifies across the Middle East in 2026, a deeper and more unsettling question is emerging among military planners, intelligence agencies, and governments across the Gulf. Where are Iran's most advanced missiles, and why have they not yet been used? For weeks, Iran has been launching missiles and drones at a steady pace, targeting Israel, U.S. positions, and key regional infrastructure. Cities have been hit, air defense systems have been tested, and the conflict has entered a prolonged and dangerous phase. Yet beneath this visible escalation lies a quieter, more strategic mystery. Some of Iran's most advanced and heavily publicized missile systems, those described as game changers, have remained largely absent from the battlefield. This absence is not being interpreted as weakness. Instead, it is creating unease, even fear, because in modern warfare, what is not used can be just as significant as what is. Iran possesses the largest ballistic missile arsenal in the Middle East, with estimates ranging between 2,500 and 6,000 missiles before the war began. These systems vary widely in capability, from short-range rockets to medium-range ballistic missiles capable of striking targets across the region. Over the past decade, Iran has invested heavily in improving precision, survivability, and range. It has also developed extensive underground infrastructure, often referred to as missile cities, to store and launch these weapons while protecting them from airstrikes. Since the conflict began, Iran has already fired hundreds of missiles and thousands of drones. Early in the war, large salvos were launched in rapid succession, overwhelming defenses and testing the limits of interception systems. But over time, that pattern has changed. The size of missile barrages has decreased, even though the tempo of attacks remains steady. Analysts have noted that this shift may not be accidental, but rather part of a calculated strategy. Recent intelligence assessments suggest that despite heavy bombardment by the United States and Israel, Iran still retains a significant portion of its missile arsenal. In fact, U.S. officials acknowledge that only about one-third of Iran's missile stockpile has been definitively destroyed. Another portion may be damaged or buried in underground facilities, making it difficult to verify its status. This means that a large number of missiles may still be operational or could be restored quickly. At the same time, Israeli and U.S. strikes have significantly degraded Iran's infrastructure. Dozens of production sites, launchers, and military facilities have been targeted, including a major missile production complex in central Iran. These operations have reduced Iran's launch rate by more than 90% compared to the early days of the war. But crucially, they have not eliminated the threat. Iran continues to launch missiles, it continues to adapt, and it continues to hold something back. Among the most notable absences are Iran's newest and most advanced systems, including the Qasem-Basir missile and the Fateh-2 hypersonic missile. These weapons were unveiled with considerable fanfare in recent years, presented as the cutting edge of Iran's military technology, yet they have not been widely observed in combat. The Qasem-Basir, unveiled in 2025, represents a significant advancement in guidance technology. It uses a combination of inertial navigation and an electro-optical or infrared terminal seeker, allowing it to see its target and adjust its trajectory accordingly. This capability makes it less vulnerable to electronic jamming and potentially more accurate than earlier systems. It is also believed to have a range of around 1,200 kilometers and the ability to maneuver during its terminal phase, complicating interception efforts. The Fateh-2, meanwhile, is described by Iran as a hypersonic missile equipped with a glide vehicle capable of traveling at extreme speeds and maneuvering unpredictably. Iranian officials claim it can reach speeds up to Mach 15, although Western analysts remain skeptical about its operational readiness. Even so, the concept itself represents a significant shift. Hypersonic glide vehicles are designed to evade traditional missile defense systems by flying at lower altitudes and changing direction mid-flight. Despite their prominence in Iran's military messaging, these systems have not played a major role in the current conflict. Their absence has sparked intense debate among analysts and defense experts. One explanation is strategic restraint. Iran may be deliberately holding back its most advanced missiles as a form of deterrence. By keeping these systems in reserve, Tehran preserves its ability to escalate at a later stage, potentially delivering a more decisive or shocking blow. Using them too early could reduce their psychological impact and reveal valuable information about their capabilities. Another theory is that Iran is waiting for its adversaries to weaken. Missile defense systems such as Iron Dome, Patriot, Arrow, and THAAD rely on expensive interceptor missiles, which are produced in limited quantities. By launching large numbers of older or less advanced missiles, Iran may be attempting to deplete these interceptor stocks. Once defenses are strained, more advanced missiles could be introduced with a higher chance of success. There's also the possibility of practical limitations. Some experts suggest that Iran may not have large quantities of its newest missiles. Production of advanced systems is often slower and more complex, and these weapons may exist only in limited numbers. Additionally, some systems may not yet be fully operational or combat tested. In the case of hypersonic weapons like the Fatah-2, even analysts question whether they are ready for real-world deployment. Another important factor is survivability. Iran's missile infrastructure is designed to endure prolonged conflict. Its underground facilities, mobile launchers, and decentralized command structure allow it to continue operating even after significant losses. This resilience means that Iran can afford to pace its use of advanced weapons rather than deploying everything at once. At the same time, the war has revealed both strengths and vulnerabilities in Iran's approach. On one hand, its missiles have successfully penetrated advanced air defense systems on multiple occasions, causing damage and raising doubts about the effectiveness of interception networks. On the other hand, sustained airstrikes have disrupted its production capabilities and reduced the scale of its attacks. The conflict has also taken on the characteristics of a war of attrition. Rather than seeking a quick-sigh victory, Iran appears to be focused on prolonging the conflict and wearing down its opponents. This strategy mirrors the tactics used by some of its regional allies and proxy groups, emphasizing persistence over overwhelming force. One of the most alarming developments in the war has been the apparent extension of Iran's missile range. A recent attempted strike on a distant U.S. base, located more than 4,000 kilometers away, suggests that Iran's capabilities may be greater than previously acknowledged. Even though the attack did not succeed, it has raised concerns about the potential reach of Iran's missile program. For years, Iran had downplayed the range of its missiles, presenting them as defensive weapons with limited reach. That narrative is now being questioned. If Iran is capable of striking targets at such distances, the implications extend far beyond the Middle East. Meanwhile, the human and economic costs of the conflict continue to grow. Missile strikes have damaged infrastructure, disrupted energy supplies, and contributed to rising global oil prices. The closure of key shipping routes has further intensified economic pressure, affecting markets around the world. Despite these challenges, Iran's core objective appears to be survival rather than outright victory. By maintaining its missile capabilities and continuing to launch attacks, it signals that it cannot be easily neutralized. At the same time, by holding back its most advanced systems, it preserves the option of escalation. This dual strategy, combining active engagement with strategic restraint, has created a climate of uncertainty. Every missile launch is watched closely, not just for its immediate impact, but for what it might signal about the next phase of the war. Across the Gulf, governments are asking the same question: is this the limit of Iran's capabilities or just the beginning? For now, the answer remains unclear. Iran's most advanced missiles remain largely unseen, their capabilities untested in combat, their role in the conflict uncertain. But their absence is not reassuring. It is a reminder that the war is still evolving and that its most dangerous phase may still lie ahead. Because in modern warfare, the most powerful weapon is not always the one that is used. Sometimes it is the one that remains hidden, waiting for the moment when it can change everything.